stuff that goes on in 1 hour of class. You went from your warm-ups to your drills to your kicks. So all of those things you should have paid attention to. Now we're going to go through the first form. What we're paying attention to is the sequence of the form, and then execution, which is something that has to improve over, over time. So when I'm here and I start off my form, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. So I did that kind of a little quicker than you would do when you're learning it. When we learn it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. But once you know the movement, then you have to turn. The hand moves, the body moves, and then your body connects. Then you bend. High, low. Step. Dragon. Is the fist or the claws in front of your nose? Put it on top. Set it up. Scoop. Now there's a position. Did you miss this position? Uppercut. In front of the nose, in front of the waist. This is a low block. Cat stance. Drop. Did you sink in the stance? When you're learning it, you don't pay attention to any of this stuff because you don't know. But once you know this position, and we talk about this position and how we should make the movement a little bit more intense, that's what you have to figure out. We squat down. That's the position you have from the 5 stances. Uppercut again. Remove. Now once you've learned this movement, when we go up and we go back, we have to drop. Then we step forward, the leading stance. We have to turn the feet, the horse stance, and then punch. So when you learn it, it's one thing. When you execute it, it's another thing, right? So here we suspended stance. Cross to the back. Front, is it in front of your eyes? Eye level. High, is it in front of the forehead? Is it in line with your body? Is the hand here, protecting this area of your body? All of these things, okay, become important. Go to here. 1, squat, uppercut, sliding step. Did your feet end at the same time? Meaning this happened together. And then your balance and your focusing the power at the front of the knuckle or the front of the hand where your knuckles are. Now here we're going to squat down again and lift. Triangle position, cross the hands, cut, push. So what's important is when you stand to here, your cross hand, there's your defensive position, block. That's a cutting or removing, and then double palm. Is it waist level? Are your fingertips pointing out to the sides? Cat stance. Sink. Did you remove and sink? Step forward and punch. Okay, so those are some of the pointers. Now we're going to step to the back. 1, draw, elbow, back fist, palm. Okay, elbow. Did you fold the elbow before you did the elbow strike? So you have to cock it here and leave it cocked until you roll your elbow. The back fist goes to the corner. Did this hand come back to here, or did you just do that? So it has to separate. Now you palm strike. That goes to this. This is your solar plex. That's where your breastbone meets this area here, just above the soft part of your stomach, and you're here. Now you turn, horse stance, high block. Shift your weight, kick. No. So when you shift and you come in, you have to balance, hop off that leg, so the jumping and the kicking foot is the same. Did you put your hand here before doing this? Okay, so that's a block, a defensive position, trap. Now, did you move this hand out before dropping this hand in? So this becomes a vertical upward movement to here. Here's the same movement, downward and punch. Now, set it up, block, sliding step. Did this hand come to here so that you can open and palm strike? Scoop, press. There's that hand again. Kick. Set it up, stays there till you punch. Cross to here. 1. Okay? 1, 2. Are the elbows out or the in? Split back, draw, sliding step. Make the fist, punch. Pull back, turn. Turn. Salute. 1, 2, 3. Fold. Okay. So what I did was go over some of the things that sometimes when you're going through the form, you're not paying attention to, you're not focused on, you're not concentrating, or maybe you didn't know that that's what's supposed to happen. So that's all part of, what these videos are, to kind of point out things that you might be missing. And, because when you watch, you don't know what to look at. You don't know to look at the hand, the feet, the body. You don't know where the hand should be because you're maybe guessing where they should be, or you think that that's where it is from the look of the movement. So I try to get the movements as accurately as possible so that you get the correct picture. That's the image. The image that you see is what you should try to copy from that standpoint, because copying the movement will give you a body an idea of what it should look like. And ultimately, when you work within sort of your framework, that's the size of your body, your movement should look something like what you just saw. And for a lot of people, it doesn't happen right away until you start to imagine yourself doing it and look at yourself from how someone else is looking at you. So it is, martial arts is, it's a martial art for the number of reasons that it has techniques in it. But the other thing is there's body form, and it is a performance art as well. Because when you perform and you do these movements in front of people, your goal is to make it look good enough so when someone watches it or someone is checking it, can recognize what you're doing. So, that's, sort of information for newer people. And if you've already learned the form, it's good to focus on the things we just talked about. Now, the second form is the same. You bring your hand to here, find it here, drop, sing. Okay, so here. Now, that's 1, 2, 3. So that's how we learn 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's setting up. But once you know the movement, you're just going to do that. Then you're going to do that, right? The hands. But you have to step. This goes out. Remember, that's the toe out position. Salute. Now this goes here to here. So the next phase of doing that, you know this, but don't do this. That's not good footwork. When you go back, you have to draw. Now look at my leg here. It stays there till I turn, and when I turn, I have to turn again. There's my toe out. Step up and go into position. 1, 2. See, to the corner. 3, fold. All right, so that's just in the footwork there is a lot to practice to get control of your movement. And then you're like this. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's nothing really working as far as how your body should feel. In the beginning, you're just learning sequence. Once you memorize sequence, you have to connect the movement as if you have your body working with the movement. Step, reverse, sink, lean. Okay, so when we're here, we lift it in a 5 stand. Here we're going to do this. So we're here. This has to turn to middle like this. Drop, turn, palm, hook, press. There's that press, kick, and that punch. 1, 2, draw. Here's that Chun Kyo position. We do a lot of Chun Kyo. Set up, strike, lift, elbow, dragon. So let me do that again for you, and I'm just going to point out some things and how it blends together. Punch. 1. We set it up for here, here, so that you know where the starting point is and the ending point. But you have to get there fast enough so that it's almost seamless and quick. So what happens? Look at what has to happen. 1, 2, 2, toe out, right? Toe out, the step, and turn. Now when you're doing it, combining it together, your hands and legs have to move. That's coordination, right? Elbow, here, here, step, cross, turn, palm, scoop, press, kick, jump back. So you jump back, you have to set up so that that and that go together. You're not really doing this step. That's sort of rudimentary, but it's also for someone new learning. Once you've learned it, don't think that that's the finishing point. The finishing point is once you're in the position, okay, we turn, palm strike, scoop, here's your press again, kick, leave this hanging to thrust.
One of our viewers had a request that
Open.
you show some applications when you're done with the form, just a couple of applications of movement.
Okay, so we're going to be going from here to here to here. Turn, kick, 1, 2, step, sliding step, punch, reach, elbow, strike down, back fist, change directions. Actually, you can just step up. Here's your setup. Boom, 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 boom. Turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Step, step, move back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Deep breathing. So any of you following would have gone through the form with me. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So, listen. Was the request for any specific form?
Actually, the request was in Lao Ga.
Oh, in Lao.
Show a couple applications in Lao Ga.
Okay, so inside the Loga form, there's a lot of postures that are so different from the first form, because the first form, although it appears to be very basic, the techniques in the first form are pretty practical. So there's low blocks, upper block, dragon claw, those are all pretty fundamental. But in the Loga form, when we have these transitions, and you go from here to here, what it is if you're in a position like this, and I punched, okay, if something else came, I might switch and then come in like that, because this is a diagonal strike. A diagonal strike from a side view, because I can't work with a partner because we're doing this social distancing. You have to imagine, if I'm in a ready position, just taking one of those moves used individually. So something like this, chun kill, is a side block, sliding step, punch. That's the format of that motion. So if I'm in this position and something comes, there's my block. This is how you learn it. This is the final position. But when you're in a position, when something comes here, your hand just simply does this. Now when it does that, I'm drawing back, setting up the punch, and then boom. When I go like this and I close my hand and it withdraws, you don't really use movements like that, mainly because it's impractical and it's no use to bring the hands back to the waist. This is for training to find muscle memory of position and to increase range and flexibility of the action. But once you block and I move, this is where you control the arm that you just deflected, or you catch. But you can't just catch a hand that comes in like this and try to punch it. You have to deflect it, intercept it here, and then when you pull down and strike, that becomes it. That's why when we do our forms and we have these positions, that's because this becomes a holding chamber for where the hand has to go during your next follow-up. So if I go like this, there's an action. Now, if something were to come here, I don't want to block it from here because actually I'm not close enough. I'd be off balance. So I have to move like this. So the high block always goes on this technique, or even many of what we call the Song Gong Su, the double block, off the front leg. And the reason for that is, if I'm in a position like this and I block like this is the weak side of my position. You don't want to block like that. So you have to step through. So whether you step through, which is the full action, or you switch stances. Now you see, and then you strike down. So what is this strike down? When you go like this and I'm in this high block position, I have an option of coming down right on the collarbone or to the neck, or followed up by intercepting what would be coming here. You have to imagine something coming along this line, and you go wham. That intercepts using the whole forearm as a striking weapon or surface area to hit, block, and deflect. It's up to you how you want to interpret that. So where do you strike? Typically you would strike here, right in the crook of the elbow, and the force goes down. Now because I'm making a transition and I drop, it doesn't have to be a lot of physical arm movement because you have a transition, and because I dropped it, free fall, speed and gravity work together, boom. Now you notice if I go like this and I strike, why does this hand go up here? Because if I didn't do that, actually both sides are not connected. You can't develop power from the body to tie what's happening is the equal opposite counteraction of that motion. Movements have to be counterbalanced so that they can maintain a balance in your movement. The other thing is that when I go like this to strike down, that means this area becomes an exposed area. So you have to bring this hand here. So that action between this and this become innate. Because if something comes here, if I punch like this, I have to have this hand here. If I punch like this has to be here. If I punch like this here, this has to be here. That's because you have to create, not just the offense technique, but the defensive mechanism to protect your body. And when we move from one position to the next, that's what's happening. It's not just because we want to make a transition that appears to be some type of glamorous movement. It's actually functional. Now, when we're here and something else comes here, you turn. Now, in the form, that's the order of the sequence. But because you're developing reactions, you have these movements that you can actually cycle through. So that's really what you're doing is a form, especially the traditional forms, has a lot of transitional ideas and mechanisms built into the motion. And as your body starts to evolve and become coordinated and sort of reacting, you develop this reaction. That reaction is really a reflex action. So when you move, you don't have to think. So when I go like this, and go like this, do you have this? Well, you have it here. This is a form, but when I go like this, that's also a motion. This hand went up, this hand went down. When I went like this would be my punch. You intercept my punch, this could be a back fist. This could be dropping palm. So all of your movements are really built into the sequential part of those events. So building those sequences, just say, okay, I'm going to show you another example of the differences in movement. If my hand is here in the first form, I go like this, and I go like this, and I go like this. That's a rolling elbow. So my hand is like this, and I step like this in a form, there's a mapping out of those movements. But if you're in a position, say my hand is here, and I step up, and I move my hand like this, that actually becomes, the first part of that is an interception or deflection. So I'm here. That becomes the swapping and the grabbing of your arm, and it becomes this. Now, once you have the arm, boom, there's your elbow. Now, elbows shouldn't be like that because you're exposed here. They should be about shoulder level, right? They could be a little bit lower than that if you're going toward the waist, but you never really want to elbow like that. Two reasons. There's no power in that position, and it's too awkward. Okay, so that's the elbow in a rolling sense. But look at this form, the second one, we go like this. We're going over the top with this one because that's taking, say I punch and someone grabs you, you have to remove this hand and then thrust in that direction. See, once you thrust in that direction, then your palm can go down here, and then it comes back here. So the idea of this, this, and this, or this, and this, and go to elbow, those are all interchangeable as combinations of movement that lead you from one point to the other, and so forth. So that gives you a sampling of what you can do with the techniques. So you can see a high block is a high block. Why don't we block out here? Well, mainly because it's not necessary. Everything's happening in here. So my hand goes up through the center, and I turn, and I strike, and I strike.
So, Sibu, I didn't mean to stop you, but another question that was asked about Laogao was, what was the origins of Laogao? And, like, you know, where did it come from that it's in our Hung Kuen style?
Yeah.
And then also, they wanted to know why we had to salute twice, both sides.
Uh-huh.
So,
You know, there's another question that came up, which it's about the Lau family fist form. Actually, back in the day when people were learning, you know, our grandmasters and so forth, we have a praying mantis form, we have a Laogao form. It's because there's a relationship with the different families, and, you know, maybe, you know, the Sigong was very friendly with the, you know, the Lau family, you know, the people that did a lot of the Run from Shaw movies back in the day. So Laogao is actually a family, just like Hunggar is a family. So because of relationships and because of the forms that, you know, have similar characteristics, form might have been adapted and picked up as, you know, to house that form because, you know, they're friends and they don't mind sharing. So Laogao fist form, you notice a lot of the movements in there are very similar to the Hunggar forms. It's from the Lao family. So the salutation on two sides is just something that the people of that system developed for, you know, maybe doing a salute to each side. But when you build that into it, it teaches you a transitional movement. If you notice, when we do the Laogao form and we support salute like this right foot is forward, whereas typically we would have the left foot forward. So when we turn, that would be your standard salute. But then to have the opposite side with the same, it's just a training tool as an idea to supplement the differences in that position. So that's a transitional movement. And then, you know, the Laogao fist form is probably, you know, some people actually teach Gunji Kun before they teach Laogao. But the thing is, because it has a lot of the similar characteristics, we probably execute it more like the way we would do it in our style. The Lao family, if they do the Lao family's fist form, might be slightly different. Maybe they make movements that are bigger, so there would be stylistic differences. So listen, was there anything else about the Laogao that they asked?
no, actually, that was it, Sibu.
Yeah, so that's how forms come into your system. It's just like, you know, my teacher taught 3 styles of martial arts. It has the Hunggar, Tai Chi, and the Yethimon system. So there's always going to be interpretation and modifications from the strategies that teachers use to present their material. So warm-ups, like the ones we do here, actually are passed down from generation to generation from my teacher because he formatted it that way. So I maintain that format. We've been doing these punches, I don't know, since 1970, and he did it before that. So these have been around for 50 years or 60 years already. So I maintain that same format as a traditionalist to maintain the structural integrity of how we learn and how we teach. I don't vary off of that because that only compromises the integrity of preserving the traditional martial art. So because we have Laogao Kun, we have Bangbu Kun, I maintain those. And along with that, because my teacher had studied different things along the way, I maintain a lot of the things that he's taught, from the Jingyo Association, Jet Kun we have, the modern style Wa Kun, and many other things that have been adapted. We've also evolved into, as a global shrinking, we bring some of the modern stuff in. We do some of the modern competition forms, and we also do some of the wushu, but mainly because there is a presence for that and there is an interest for that, so we do it. On that side of it, we just kind of dabble in it, but the conditioning and the training has good aspects in all, because when you go to the northern forms, like Jet Kun, which is actually a basic fundamental form, for the northern styles, it's a good form for us to develop, because flexibility, in fact, a lot of Hung people don't do a lot of stretching because they think, well, we only need low kicks and it's only effective that day. Actually, when you stretch and you expand the horizon of your movement and increase, your tendency is not going to be as stiff and is much more flexible. In fact, that's one of the things that our great Grandmaster Lam Zhou was really fascinated with. Although we're a Southern style, he brought in the emphasis of agility of footwork and flexibility and the kicking and so forth, because if you can kick high, you can kick low. You can kick low, you not necessarily can kick high. You go into your stanzas, some styles just work like this in a high position. Well, if you're in a high position, you can't go low, but if you go low, you can go high. So that was one of the premises that my teacher talked about, is training in low stances is not really for fighting over, it's for training, so that you have the strength and flexibility to go down. Downward postures, when you go down and you come up and you lift, you don't really use those movements like that, but it allows you the capacity to have that flexibility and to be able to get in and out of your stances effectively. So, when I do these movements, if you notice, I'm actually not deep in my stance, but I do my forms in a deeper stance, mainly because that's how you practice, so that you can develop the integration of body. So that's really for leg work, increasing the range of motion in your hips, in your ankles, in your torso, your back, everything in your body is involved. So for kids, it's tremendous coordination. You build a lot of things from that. I think we have a few more minutes, but in the fourth form, where we open like this, which is really a basic form in some regard, very effective. The first form, coincidentally, is where a lot of those movements come from the fourth form. And the fourth form is really from our great-grandmaster's teacher, Lam Sai Wing. Lam Sai Wing is the disciple of Wang Fei Hong. He's the modern-day promoter of the Hung system, and because he was the nephew, they developed what we call the tiger crane version of the Hung. Even though everybody has tiger crane, because of the Wang Fei Hong lineage passing down, we maintain that connection to the lineage so that we can have something to pass down. Sort of like classical music to, who represents that, whether it's Beethoven, Tchaikovsky. We have our forms connected to the sort of the founders of where it went. So modern day tiger crane form is more of the modern day Hung, because Hung goes way back into the Shaolin Temple, but not in specific format. Gunji Kun is the form that came, but as things evolved, other forms were derived, and then the Iron Wire form is a form that came from another style of Hung, not from specifically the Hung. So it's a accumulation of forms and movement to create that style. And, for those of you that don't realize it, we only have 4 pillar forms. It's Gunji Kun, Gunji Fuku, the tiger crane form, Fu Hok Song Ying, and 10 images, which is a blend of those movements, and then the Iron Wire form. So those 4 forms make up the system. Everything else is somewhat of a filler form, all great to build coordination and interest in movement. All of it's good if you practice it, depending on what your goals are. So there's a lot of depth in what we do. I didn't get to really do a lot with the fourth form, but we're here on Saturday, so we'll do some of that, maybe in the next class. Do we have another class in, yeah, we have another intermediate advanced class.
Next up, we have Tai Chi paradigm for Parkinson's.
Yeah, so we have a Tai Chi class for Parsons have this, yeah.
12:30.
Yeah, so then we have another Kung Fu class later. Yeah, so that,
And then we have advanced Hung Kuen Pillar Forms 1 and 2.
yeah.
And that starts at 1:45.
Okay, so, well, we're going to close up this session. The kids probably want to take a break. It's lunchtime. And with the next class is Tai Chi for Parkinson's, because we teach the Parkinson's Foundation. We have a grant with them to do Tai Chi and, the benefits of Tai Chi with Parkinson's, because it is a motor disorder, and Tai Chi, all our martial arts is building motor skills, so that's why it's very compatible. And there are some elements of what I teach from all our wellness, specifically the Tai Chi paradigm. And then after, we're going to do the pillar forms 1 and 2, but I think I'm going to step back a little, do a little on the fourth form, so people are learning the fourth form, I could get beyond going near the end of the form, and then we'll resume with the 2 pillar forms. Okay, and then we'll see you next time. So they like